Let's begin with the next part. Let's begin with the next part. Right, so here we go with strategic management. We were probably on page number 40. So, yesterday we were on page number 40. So, I'll be somewhere around here. Okay, let's look into the details of page number 40. You must be remembering that I had taken care of the expansion strategy and the growth strategy, and I told about we had discussed a lot about the expansion strategy. Going forward, I also said that expansion strategy would be the expansion would be of three types. If you just remember the diagram as what was given as yesterday, you should draw it on yourself. But I would say that expansion can happen through self. So it would be one through self. The other way would be through mergers and acquisitions, and the other way would be through strategic alliance. Through strategic alliance. So if I have to go through self, then I would say that with self we had two major routes, which were intensification and diversification. With intensification, we had three major aspects, that is market penetration, market development, product development, and the fourth one is diversification. Diversification itself is in two ways, which is related and unrelated. Which is related and unrelated, and we have to discuss that, right? So without putting much pressure about what's related and what's unrelated and how things are, I just want you to be like a little bit okay with things, right? Let's just breathe, right? So breathing at times is important. So just take a deep breath and believe that yes, will be able to do everything, right? So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. When you worry, it creates more problem, right? So you need not worry about it. I'm here to help you out, right? And when your teacher is here, why fear? Such basic dialogues, sir. Okay. So you're good with them? Okay, moving forward. Just a moment. Okay, so sorry for the little bit of disturbance. Yeah, it actually happened because of poor internet connection that I'm having currently, and that's due to fault, and this due to some fault, and you know that how unreasonable things can get ultimately when there are no people to support you at that point of time. So I'm not having the service agents coming up to this part of the city and trying to resolve our problems. So that's how most of the problems are adding up is or accumulating to us. Okay, no worries. Let's consider it as a short break and take it up. No worries. So I think I got a short break. I took it up and I can now initiate and complete it. So, see what you have been coming across again. I think this is something that we had already discussed, already done. But yes, when it comes as a revision, why not? Why not do it again? So, expansion through intensification and diversification. So, we have already discussed in Iger and South product market expansion grid. So, this was something already taken up. We have already done this. So expansion through self, then there is expansion through mergers and acquisitions, and then there's expansion through strategic alliance. So we have already discussed, right? If you remember, if I just have to put up the matrix, you would write product, market. Do you remember a little bit about it? Product would be of two types. Yes, it would be existing and new, existing and new. So that's how it was to be. It was supposed to be. Okay, so market penetration, product development, and then diversification. So there are four things. Okay, I think three of the things we have already discussed. However, I don't want you to miss out on anything. So therefore, I'm trying to tell you that yes, we also made sure that we did mark in the last discussion about ENSO's product market expansion grid or ENSO's product market growth matrix. We did mark that 1, 2, and 3, three boxes: market penetration, product development, and market development. 1, 2, and 3 accounted for intensification strategy. So 1, 2, 3 are intensification strategies. We already discussed that. We already discussed that with the diagram, and I'm very sure that you also are aware about it, or else I should say that you also are aware about the same. Okay, so expansion through intensification. The next stuff is expansion through intensification. So as we have discussed already, it's about market penetration, market development, product development. So there has to be something existing. So with intensification, you need to intensify something existing. So need to build upon something existing. It could be market, it could be product, it could be both. So need to build upon something existing is what we say, it's intensification. So what does it say or what does it show? It shows market penetration, market development, and product development. So market penetration is a highly common expansion strategy. And just a moment. Uh, Hello. वो आंटी मेरा ना एक हॉटस्पॉट चल गया तो तेरे वो चल गया है अभी 5 मिनट बाद में देख करता हूँ कल से थैंक यू सो मच. Okay, so neighbors giving the helping hand. So uh, I had a neighbor helping me out in getting the Wi-Fi connection done. So actually, I was trying to apply, but I could not. So that was not into like that was not working for me. So had to do it. Okay, I just want you to look at it once, right? Because since we have already done this, a little bit of reading would help you to actually like take up the concept, right? So you need to undertake the concept well, and therefore I would say, or I should suggest, as I say, that I should suggest you to actually take note of things. So basic note of things would be very good, and I would be happy if you're able to do so. Okay, so just look into it. Market penetration was something wherein we were into existing market, existing product, but with not with existing level of efforts, but a high level of effort. So that was what we intended to be with the market development. If you remember, if you remember, right? So it's about remembering things. Then it's about market development. Market development was something that we had again discussed, right? Market development was something that we had again discussed. I don't know why people keep calling. I'm just not picking up. Okay. So market development was something also that we had discussed. Product development was something that was discussed, and it was discussed like a few days back, just a few sessions back. So I am very sure that you are very profoundly sound with the concept, and there are no issues regarding that. Okay, going with expansion through diversification, I would say diversification has to be discussed in detail. Why? Because diversification we had related and unrelated. Related is classified as vertically integrated, horizontally integrated, concentric. And vertical integration also has backward and forward integration. However, it would take a little bit of space and time for me to explain all these things. But there is one concept which I wanted to explain. That is called synergy. I'm just taking up this concept named synergy. So let's try and understand what synergy is, right? So I'm just taking this concept named synergy, right? I'm discussing about this word synergy. What do we mean by synergy? Something that is in sync, right? Sync, or should I say synchronized. And energy, right? So synergy is something like having benefits and advantages of something being synchronized together. Okay. See, when you take a related sort of diversification, trying to enter into new product, new market, but the diversification is related. Related means what? Related means that the new product somewhere somehow has a link with the existing product, right? The new product somewhere somehow has a link with the existing product. Now, if I have to just say that Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola generally is into flavoring, right? They provide that particular flavor that when applied, which when applied to directly to the what should I say, to the mixture of carbonated water, would actually yield into Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola has a chance actually to go back or go forward into whatever ways things happen. They may even develop a bottling plant where in the the Coca-Cola is being packaged, right? So the cola packaging can also be worked upon, right? So a lot of things are there where Coca-Cola might feel to start their own new business, or a Coca-Cola might feel that they can have a different flavor coming in with a similar kind of drink approach, and they could have a very different flavor which would taste even better, or which would taste different and suit taste of different people. So that is where you realize that there could be synchronization. There could be a good synchronization. It could be related to demand supply. It could be related to capacities. It could be related to supplier buyer relationships, whatever it could be. Right. So there could be synchronized energies with new businesses and the existing businesses. Now I am just trying to say where synergy does not exist. Say for example, I was making shoes. Now I'm also into manufacturing. I should say manufacturing fans. Right. So these two are very diverse businesses, totally different businesses, and they don't have any nexus with each other at all, right? So a fan and a shoe would not never have a nexus between them. So there is no synergy between them. There is no synergy between them. So say for example, if I would say that there was one business, there was one individual standalone business which was into bottling, and there was one individual cold drink business which was just into making liquid cold drink, right? If the liquid cold drink business person now has his own bottling plant or a bottling business, both business combined together yield more value as compared to the individual businesses that were run by different people. Don't you agree? Like say for example, there is Mr. A who is engaged into making a bottling. He's into bottling plant, and then there is a Mr. B who is actually making cola. Right. Now, if Mr. B also starts to develop the bottles, I should say that, say for example, if Mr. A developing bottles, his company had a value of 300 crores, and Mr. B developing cola, say his company had a value of 500 crores, maybe cola and bottling combined business with one single person maybe resulting in more than 800 crores. Right. So put cola and bottling business put together would yield into synergy. That means would yield into synergy. So Coca-Cola put with the bottling thing together, clubbed together, right, would give a better result, a much better result than what they would be giving individually. So that's synergy. So synergy generally happens when diversification happens in related areas. So synergy generally happens when diversification happens in related areas. So when you are already trying to go forward with related things, you get more synergy into it. Once you try and diversify into areas which are totally unrelated, there would be no synergistic gains. So there would be synergistic gains. Now say for example, if a mobile developer a mobile developer also starts to develop battery. So the battery and mobile put together, battery is a separate business altogether, so it has to be diversification, because battery would he would also be making batteries for different sets of mobiles as well. And if he also starts to make mobile alongside with the battery, I think both the things combined together would have more value, rather than a company just valued for its batteries, and rather than a company just valued for smartphones, and just adding up both of them would not be that much of value as compared to the one having both of these together, because they both are synchronized. Both the things are very much synchronized, very much linked, interlinked to them. So Related businesses means that the new product markets and the existing product markets have some nexus, right? That would never mean that the product is not new or does not tap a new market. That would never mean that a product is not new and does not tap a new market. Say for example, if I was into making bottles for Coca Cola, and Coca Cola earlier was making cola, right? And I was packaging it for them. Now Coca Cola initiates its own bottling plant. So that does not mean that bottling will ultimately actually yield in Coca Cola only to the customer. But that does not mean that bottling is the business which was just what was Coca Cola was doing. Like it, you might say that it would not actually reach up to a new customer, or it would not be going into a new market. So the market remains same. Bottling market, bottling market and cola market both has to be different. Bottling market would also allow you to enter into into different people, into different organizations, wherein you can give your bottles to them also, right? And they can use it for filling their material also. So bottling market would be a different market, bottling business would be a different business as compared to the cola business. But however, there is a clear cut demand and supply amongst themselves also. So that allows you to gain extra benefits out of it, right? Otherwise, a bottling business would have been a different business, a cola business would have been a different business. But since you are doing both of these together now, that also allows you to use your bottling business to take advantage of the cola business as well. Or for your cola business, you can use the bottling business to take advantages for cheaper supplies of raw material or for bottling plants, right? So that makes your job better. But that does not mean that bottling is not a separate business. Even when they fall into the same chain of activities and ultimately the final product is reaching out to the customer, getting those things to getting done those things which we were not earlier doing, and saying that you are tapping a new market is absolutely true. Anyone might say that, sir, I'm just trying to explain it with an example. Say for example, I would say, how does Coca-Cola gets manufactured? I'm just trying to discuss, right? So the way Coca-Cola gets manufactured is like you start with the untreated water. You start with untreated water. I'm trying to explain you one concept which, if done right, would help you throughout the chapter, right? So I'm paying more attention to that. So we have untreated water. Then what is done? Distillation is done. So there is a distillation process to actually clean the water, and the pH levels need to be balanced. So they don't actually work with a pH less than or more than 7. It has to be exactly 7. So distillation process shall do so. Once the distillation process is done, flavoring is done. Once the distillation process is done, flavoring happens. This is a cold drink making process, right? Once flavoring is done, carbonation happens, which is what you see as a fizz. You see a fizz in those drinks, so carbonation happens, right? Post carbonation, bottling happens. Post carbonation, bottling happens, and then branding and distribution and things like that would happen. So I should not miss that out. I should also write it up that branding and distribution efforts take place later on. So later on there would be branding and distribution. Why am I trying to show you this way? Is that you need to understand now. Now, say for example, earlier we were into, like Coca Cola was into flavoring. Coca Cola was into flavoring. So here was what? Coca Cola. Coca Cola, tu shola shola. Okay, that was a Hindi song. Never mind. I know you know such little, like I'm very sure that you know some of the songs of Bollywood. No worries. Coca Cola. So Coca Cola does flavoring as of now. Okay, Coca Cola can decide to take up any of the processes. Now, say for example, Coca Cola decides to do carbonation on its own. See, carbonation. Now, if X company is there which does carbonation, if there is an X company which does carbonation already, and Coca Cola was going for carbonation through X company only, Now Coca-Cola decided that no, it would be me because I have to expand, like it's self-expansion. So going forward, I would do my carbonation on my own. My business is my business. It's none of anyone else's business. So that's what Coca-Cola decides. Now, once that Coca-Cola decides this, Coca-Cola develops its own carbonation plant, and it takes a time. It takes some time for building all these things from scratch, and the carbonation plant gets ready. Now, see, when we look at carbonation business, now ultimately, what do you say? Sir, will even acquiring carbonation business or will even developing carbonation business result into new customers or a new product or a new market? Then one might think that no, sir, it will ultimately reach to that consumer only to whom we were giving Coca-Cola earlier. But when I look it from a business point of view, earlier carbonation does never used to happen at my place, right? And now, since when I am doing carbonation, let me look at the market. I am taking raw material from Coca-Cola. Now I am taking the raw material from myself, so I have a different raw material to work with. I have a different finished product to give. So definitely, it's a new product. Doing carbonation is a new product. Ultimately, it's for Coca-Cola a new product. Now, it happens to be related in the vertical chain of process. If you just look at, there is a vertical chain, right? So it seems like vertical integrated. So it shows a synergy. So since related diversification is there, it will show synergy. So the diversification is into related nature. But if I just look at carbonation as a standalone business, carbonation would be doing it for a lot of different businesses also and taking money from them, right? Because carbonation ultimately is dealing with different business. Flavoring is dealing with distillation business, right? If I want to do flavoring, I will go back to the distillation people, right? And if I have to do carbonation, I will have to look forward to flavoring people. I'm not considered. See, I'm not concerned about the fact that doing carbonation and getting it bottled up later on and getting it branded and distributed would ultimately reach to whom? No, my new market starts from where I sell. So carbonation, the carbonation person will be giving it to bottling one. So that is how there it is at that point they sell. So the selling point changes, the acquiring of raw material point also changes. So there is a new product, then there is a new product market. Because to whom you sell is your market, right? It's not about ultimately to whom it reaches, right? To whom you sell is your market. It's not about the ultimate reach where it reaches. Okay. I hope you got this point very clearly. Otherwise, with diversification, a lot of students ultimately keep on getting confused that, sir, it's about new product and new market. And when I see vertical integrated diversification or diversifications which are related in nature, at times there is no new product coming out in the market which is essentially being delivered to the customer or which is being sent out to the customer. And I keep on saying them that at whatever level you are working, you need to check what's the demand and what's the supply. So who are your customers depend upon to whom you sell, right? So your market is for bottling. So after post carbonation, generally bottling happens. So your market would come from flavoring and bottling. Flavoring market was coming through distillation, right? Flavoring market was coming through distillation. Carbonation market would come from flavoring. So that's how it has to be. Bottling market will come from carbonation. So that's how it has to be. I hope so. The concept and work is very clear. If that is not clear, it will create more problems. So this is clear. This has to be clear, and this has to make a lot of sense to each and every one of you. Okay. Now let me just go forward and take the next step. So what does it say? There has been some written material about. Just a moment. Hello. Yeah. Good evening, man. Hmm. Ma'am, I do have my academic class going on, and it would end by 7:30. Ma'am, I'm not sure actually about the session because the news actually I have already given it through my own channel. Right, so I might not have new points to actually take up. So if I have something, I'll just. Okay, so I'm just checking with the website whether there is an update on the website. I'm not sure. So I'm checking with ICI website as of now. I've been told of an important update. And there is nothing as such from 9th of October. Um, going forward, going forward, I just wanted to convey some more things, right? And let's read it through. Diversification endeavors can be related or unrelated. So there is one more thing that we have learned. Related will bring synergies. Related diversification shall bring synergistic gains. You can write synergistic gains. So you get synergies out of them. Okay. Synergies could be very high, synergies could be low as well. So that's a different ball game altogether. But yes, with diversification, there would be synergies if it's related. Okay. So diversification endeavors can be related or unrelated to existing businesses of the firm. Based on the nature and extent of the relationship to existing businesses, diversification endeavors have been classified into four broad categories. And it says vertically integrated diversification, horizontally integrated diversification. Then it says that it's about concentric diversification and it's about conglomerate. So definitely 1, 2 and 3 here are related. So again I should say that 1, 2 and 3 are related diversification. Conglomerate is completely unrelated. So you need to make sure that you have these things into your mind whenever you are answering any question, whenever you are preparing for your concept. Okay, let's just discuss vertically integrated diversification first, because once we discuss that, we will be doing ourselves a lot good. So let's discuss vertically integrated diversification first of all. In vertically integrated diversification, firm opts to engage in businesses that are related to the existing business of the firm. Okay, so when we say related to the existing business of the firm, we would also say that we want to add to synergy. Synergy gains shall happen. So synergy gains can be looked up to. Synergy. Synergy. Okay, the firm remains vertically within the same process sequence. Vertically within the same process sequence, moves forward or backward in the chain and enters a specific product or process steps with the intention of making them into new businesses for the firm. So if I just have to talk about Coca-Cola, if I just have to talk about Coca-Cola, if I just have to talk about Coca-Cola, I would say that, see, it's a vertical chain of activities. This is a vertical chain of activities. Can you see a vertical lineage? Yes. Can you see a vertical lineage? Everything falling into a vertical pattern, starting from step 1 till step like 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things have to be going on like this. So untreated, distillation, flavoring, carbonation, bottling, branding and distribution, whatever it is. Right. So it says that in vertically integrated diversification, the firms opt to engage in businesses that are related to the existing business of the firm. I said, okay, fine. Thank you. The firm remains vertically with the same process sequence, moves forward or backward in the chain. So same process sequence. The process is this. Now, if you have to make cola, the process is this. So when I am Coca-Cola, if I am Coca-Cola and if I am trying to go backward, right? So that means I'm developing my own distillation process, or forward if I'm trying to bring in my own carbonation process, what will happen? I will go either backward or forward. So if I'm going backward, it should be known as backward integration. If I'm trying to go backward, it should be known as backward integration. And if I'm trying to go forward, it should be forward integration. Now let me explain why backward integration and why forward integration. Now, of late we have been always been thinking about one particular element, and that is outsourcing. And we always believe that outsourcing is a very good option. Outsourcing is a very good option. I do agree to it when your scale of working is predominantly average. When your scale of working is predominantly average, outsourcing is a very good thing to do. Why? Because when you are working with average quantities, what happens is that economies of scale would not come up, and it would not be justifiable to have your own processes for each and everything that you have to take up, right? But once you have an amazing volume of work, like say for example what Coca-Cola already has, amazing value volume of work, they would want everything to be in their own control, first of all, because whenever you acquire backward processes you get control over inputs, and whenever you acquire forward processes, or whenever you try and develop forward processes of your own, you get more control over the market, or more control over suppliers, right? Over the supplies. Also to note that outsourcing was adopted when my own production was not feasible for any activity which was in the backward vertical chain or in the forward vertical chain, because I was already incurring a good amount of cost. And I always had to feel that anybody from whom I'm outsourcing would definitely give or help me get a decent cheap rate compared to what I would be able to do with the best of my inputs, right? So say for example, if you had to have a party of like 40 to 50 guys, okay, at your home. So if you had invited like 30 to 40 friends of yours, maybe you just turned chartered accountants and you decided to throw in a party. Now someone just suggested that let's make burgers for everybody. Right. So for 30 to 40 people, it would be more difficult to make burgers rather than to order them. It would also be more money consuming to make burgers on your own rather than to order them. I'm just trying to convey this. Right. So you will have more investments going into it rather than reaping out anything out of it. So ultimately what happens when scale is say for example very high. Now say for example you like opened up your own joint and you decided to resell burgers from different bakeries, but then you realize that your crowd is becoming too big and big and big and big and big, like it's like 1,000 people touching to your store every day and night. You might decide to develop your own recipes, you might decide to develop your own burgers. So that's how things are. So rather than procuring and giving it to different people, you started to develop your own. Why? Because now margins matter a lot for you. Now littlest of margins would matter a lot for you. So you already have the scale to justify, first of all, that you can go backward or forward with the integration activity, because you already have a scale that the new business would already be supported with the existing one, and it would be a good synergistic effect. Plus you will get less you can just have least profit addition also. Now say for example, if someone was doing distillation for me and someone was doing carbonation for me, would also add some sum to it as a profit margin. Right. Earlier it was acceptable because if I had done the same job, it would have been even more costly. So that was acceptable earlier. But since now the scale of work is very high, I would be wanting to eliminate such margins. I would be wanting to eliminate such margins and have a total margin added, whatever much I want, and underprice the competitors, cut the competition, and get those big guns rolling in, and get the best out of it. So that would be my thought process. So that's how vertically integrated diversification works. It's a decent level of synergy, a very good level of synergy, or I should say a high level of synergy, and you'll be enjoying a lot of it, right? Okay, so let's just look into it furthermore. So it says in vertically integrated diversification, firms opt to engage in businesses that are related to the existing businesses of the firm remains vertically within the same process sequence, moves forward or backward in the chain, and enters a specific product or process steps with the intention of making them into new businesses for the firm. The characteristic feature of vertically integrated diversification is that here the firm does not jump outside the vertically linked product process chain. The firm does not jump outside the vertically linked product process chain. So the firm remains into the same chain. The firm remains into the same chain. So that is vertically integrated diversification. Vertically integrated diversification can be done in two ways. So it is forward integration and backward integration. What do we mean by forward integration? What do we mean by forward integration? Forward integration is moving forward in the value chain and entering business lines that use existing products. So you are trying to go ahead where your product will become a raw material ultimately, right? So whatever you are doing will be the first thing that is required in that particular business. You are trying to enter into that. Okay, so forward integration is moving forward in the value chain and entering business lines that use existing products. Forward integration will also take place where organization enter into businesses of distribution channels. Good, so okay, it says, for example, a coffee bean manufacturer may choose to merge with a coffee cafe. I'm not happy with the word merge. Why? Because we are already into self expansion. But Institute has written this only. But at this point of time, where our concept is absolutely correct, and we have a topic called mergers and acquisitions, I would never want you to write this language. You have to write what a coffee bean manufacturer entering into a business of opening cafes, entering into a business, entering into a business of opening coffee cafes. So a coffee bean manufacturer is now entering into business. So let's not take all this language. Instead, we should take entering into a business of opening coffee cafes. Okay. Okay. So I think the correction has been done. I believe that the correction has been done. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's move ahead with the concept of backward integration. Backward integration is a step towards creation of effective supply by entering business of input providers. Okay, so whoever give you raw material, you have now decided to step into their business itself. So what does it say? Strategy employed to expand profits and gain greater control over production of a product, whereby a company will purchase or build up business that will increase its own supply capability or lessen its cost of production. So either you have more control, you have your good supply capability, it will enhance your supply capability. Now, say for example, you are actually involved in procuring a lot of materials from X, Y, and Z people, and then even that is not being enough. So you decided to develop your own chain. or you decided to develop your own production house for that particular item so that you can get more out of it, right? So even the best of the supplies or even the most of the supplies could actually be less for us. So there are a lot of situations when we what happens is when we want some product, and the vendor our vendor would directly say to us that sorry sir, it's not available, it's out of stock already, someone else took it from us sir, I'm so sorry, but you cannot be entertained at this point of time. So at that point of time you just try to make a sad puppy face and you can't do anything about it, right? So it's better to go for backward integration. If you are needing such level of supplies and you're not getting it, you're losing business. Okay, so example has been given. A large supermarket chain considers to purchase a number of farms. So there is a purchase involved. Looks like an acquisition, but this is absolutely correct. Why? Because you are a supermarket chain is purchasing farms that would provide it a significant amount of fresh produce. Okay, look at this integration very carefully. If you have any questions, I'm taking it live as of now, and if you have any questions virtually, you're definitely welcome to ask me anything, right? But however, look at this, just let me know if anything is required. I don't think so anything is required. Okay, then horizontally integrated diversification. Now, vertical was something wherein we were doing flavoring, if you remember. If vertical chain is this, so if I'm doing flavoring, what would be the horizontal chain regarding flavoring? So one flavoring would create Coca-Cola, the other flavoring might create Sprite, the other flavoring might create Mirinda. So ultimately each and everything is same, but there is a horizontal departure. You're trying to expand horizontally. So within the same product, we have different products around it. It could be complementary products, it could be byproducts, or it could be competition products, it could be similar nature products, right? Now if some competitor brings in something, you are also required to bring similar thing, otherwise you are just gone. You can see that Pepsi and Coca-Cola flavors are so alike, there are no differences between them, right? Or there are only slight differences between them, they are so close competitors. So you also enter into competitors products also. So you also tend up entering into competitors products. So now someone would say that sir, Sprite and Coca-Cola will also have the same market, sir. They will not have a different market. I'd still deny. I'd still deny. Okay, someone would also say that, sir, buttermilk and normal milk will have the same market. I think everyone would deny now, right? That's how you should deny things. Okay, if in a party you were being offered two types of drinks, one is Coca-Cola and one is a Sprite, you will choose your favorite one, and that does not mean that you are indifferent between them. I don't think so. Cold drink, a person who wants a cold drink is indifferent between every choice. If it's for free, they might be indifferent that okay, something is better than nothing and let's have whatever we are getting, rather than making excuse and asking too much of questions regarding the choices available. It's better to just consume whatever is available, right? Then it's free. But if you are paying for it, you are very very much specific about what you want, and if you don't get it, you make a second choice. But that is not always about that fact only, that you will buy the same company and you will have the same similar sort of a drink. It's not so. So what do you mean by horizontal integrated diversification? It is done through the development of one or more similar business operating at the same stage of product marketing chain. So it is at the same chain, but the product is actually different. As the existing business of the entity are and should expand towards complementary product, byproduct, or competitors products. So it's development. If you just go into the books of ICAI, I did not want to show it up, but if you just go into the books of ICAI, it's not about development, it's about acquiring of one or more similar businesses. Then what would be left for horizontal merger? Then what would be left for vertical merger? If you keep acquiring in your diversification only, where it is about creating the business from scratch, then what would be left out for your mergers? I don't know why. I don't know why, but the institute has taken such a language and put up things like that only. Okay. So complementary products, things that complement each other. So there are complementary products going into the market, and I don't deny that complementary products are not being sold together. Okay, byproducts. So company can also enter into different byproducts. The company can also enter into competitors' products. At times, competitor develops something and it starts to sell well. So you also decide to develop similar set of things, provided there is no much difference between what you have made and what the new product is, right? Considering the fact that it is at the same stage of production and marketing, right? It is at the same stage of production and marketing. Okay. So someone already making scooters, deciding to go into bikes is someone having production marketing chain as same, right? It would be functioning into the same product marketing chain. So that's how it is, right? So that's how horizontally integrated diversification has to be dealt with. The next topic, the next topic will be concentric diversification, and it would take me some effort to show, right, how it has to be done. Okay. Have you seen, like, have you ever wondered what concentric is? So I generally had this term with my geometry, wherein concentric circles were to be drawn. You must be remembering it as well, that we have drawn concentric circles, wherein it started somewhere from the same center point, and it actually did not have any common connection from there on. Like they would not intersect at all, but they would still have the common center point. So that's something that puts everyone in awe, right? Like when you're starting with somewhere at a point which is similar to or which is same, but you are not ending up like that. Every circle is a different circle. Okay, I just wanted to say, with vertically integrated diversification we had high levels of synergy, yes or no? High levels of synergy, high synergy. Okay, with horizontal also, the old product is very much linked with the new product is very much linked with the old product, and that would also have a high synergy. Both will support each other, right? Both will give shoulders to each other. With concentric diversification, the synergy shall be there because all the three are related diversifications, but the synergy would be low synergy. Now, why am I talking about the term low synergy, or why am I taking this name low synergy? What do we mean by low synergy actually? Low synergy would mean that there are synergistic gains, but those are not so high as to say that with this product this also comes into play, or with this product this also comes into play, or that this product is influencing the demand of the other, or if this product is influencing the demand of the other. It's not like that. In same vertical chain, the product both products will influence demands for each other. With the different horizontal integration, you have complementary products, then they can influence demand for each other, right? So there are some influences which are very closely linked with horizontal and vertical integrated diversification. But with concentric diversification, that synergy is not that much. The synergy is little, not too much, but little. Okay. So explaining about this synergy thing, I also have to talk about a lot of stuff. Okay, I have heard of a company named Blue Star. I think you also would have, right? Blue Star. Blue Star is into making. Blue Star is into making two types of stuffs. Blue Star has its air conditioners, and Blue Star also has its refrigerators. I think you are very much aware about both these facts. Refrigerators are generally in commercial nature. So whenever you go to your vendor or go to a nearby shop, corner shop, and you find and you just ask for an ice cream, also take a good look at the fridge. It would be either Carrier. Carrier also makes ACs. It would either be Blue Star. Blue Star also makes ACs. It could be Haier also, but Haier also makes domestic refrigerators. However, commercial refrigerators is something that is Like the Blue Star already owns a lot of reputation into building commercial refrigerators. Also, Blue Star is also being very reputed in aspects of building air conditioners. Okay, now when air conditioners and refrigerators are being made, are air conditioners and refrigerators products which are horizontally integrated? I would say no, not at all. Right? Are they into the same vertical chain? No, not at all. Okay. Can they be put in a manner that they can complement each other? No, not at all. Right? Anybody buying air conditioner would not be definitely be buying refrigerator, or air conditioner would not create a market for refrigerator, or vice versa. So both are very different things, but there is some linkage between them. The linkage between them is about cooling. But how does that cooling happen? It happens to chlorofluorocarbon and hydrochlorofluorocarbon. So CFCs have to go into the mechanism, right? So CFC gas has to go into the mechanism. So with both air conditioners and refrigerators, there is one thing known as compressor and a lot of technology. So the first thing that I am taking up is technology, right? A lot of technology at an initial level, not at fuller level. A lot of technology between AC and a refrigerator is quite similar. So you can find a lot of brands that are already into making refrigeration systems. You would find them making air conditioners too, right? You would find them making air conditioners too, or you'd find them manufacturing air conditioners too, and that's not a psyche. That's absolutely correct thought process, right? Because the initial technology with which both the things initiate are similar in nature. Okay, then uh, talking about concentric diversification, I would also talk about process. Okay, with process, I should say that for making a t-shirt and for making a jacket, at least initial process would be same, right? At least initial process would be same, but both would be very different products. I also want to convey you something which you might not have known about. Okay, when you talk about Maggie, so there are 2 minute noodles. This is one product, and there is one product called ketchup. Maggie also needs its masala, so masala is also being made. The first process that happens with tomatoes also happens with the Maggie dough. There is some process related to the masala that is also happening with the ketchup. So, although the products are very different from each other, ketchup is different from noodles and noodles are different from ketchup. They might complement at times, but I don't really feel so. That people always have Maggie with ketchup only. I just don't really feel so. But yes, they might complement also at a certain place. But that would be very rare and very much not linked. But with process, the noodles and the ketchup is linked together as initial processes of making the dough and crushing the tomatoes. So dough has also to be pressed and the tomatoes also need to be pressed. So initial processes could be same. With the masala also, some initial processes could have a loop, a little connection. Okay. So it's just come back. It just comes back to that loop, right? So we are trying to create that loop into it. So the loop is there, right? A little loop is there. Otherwise, they are very different. So there is no vertical integration. There is no horizontal integration. Vertical integration would have been like, okay, this done, this done, this done, this done. With this concentric diversification, say for example, both things start like this. They connect at a point wherein things are similar between them, and then they just separate out. Okay, so that is process. The third thing that I wanted to undertake is marketing. Okay, for a long that I have been viewing advertisements on TV. They make me learn a lot. They make me teach. Like they help me get ideas, the ways I need to teach. Okay, so I was looking at a marketing ad of LG, right? And you would be surprised to learn that LG had a very intelligent marketing advertisement wherein LG had put a lot of products, or showed a lot of products. Even with the Diwali coming in, you will find that whenever there is an ad in newspaper regarding LG or Samsung, you will find a whole lot of products put together as categorized as home appliances or tools like that. all together, right? Microwave, refrigerator, television, air conditioners, washing machines, right? And all these things, all these basic stuff are put together in one set of advertisement only, and they try to show the best one. They try to showcase the best one in that particular advertisement. If you just look at the fridge, it would be a double door fridge. If you look at the AC, it would be their costliest AC. If you look at the washing machine, it would be their best washing machine, and therefore the ad looks pretty decent and good as well, and it puts everything into the picture together. However, there are rarely people who buy all these products together. There are rarely people who buy all these products together unless and until they have to shift houses. Otherwise, things are not brought together, right? So you know that the marketing aspect for these products can be same, but everything else about the product is very different. Plus, one product does not lead to the sale of other, right? So if I have a good microwave of LG, does not mean that I will buy fridge from LG as well. It should not happen with any type of a learned consumer or a customer. It should not happen. So that's what I'm trying to explain, and that's what I'm trying to convey. I hope I hope that you understand all these things. Okay, let's just read it out and let's just finish it off. So what does concentric diversification say? In concentric diversification, the new business is linked to the existing business through process, technology, or marketing. So it would be either through process, it would either be through technology, it would either be through marketing. If all these things start coming together, then it might result into horizontal or vertical integration. You never know, right? So it is just an either or thing. So there would be just a small linkage. Otherwise, everything would be different. In concentric diversification too, there are benefits of synergy with the current operations. So there are benefits of synergy, but such benefits are very low. So, but such benefits are limited, I should say. But such benefits are limited. So you might just append the book as required and have it done. However, concentric diversification differs from vertically integrated diversification in the nature of the linkage the new product has with its existing one. While in vertically integrated diversification, the new product falls within the firm's current process product chain. In concentric diversification, there is a departure from this vertical linkage. I told you that there would be no vertical linkage. There would be no vertical linkage with concentric diversification. It might seem like one of the processes same or one of the marketing aspect is same. So you might join the vertical chain at a moment. For two products, you might just join a vertical chain, right? Because you might initiate together, you might end together, or you might meet in between, and you feel that, oh, we are intersecting each other. But that's just an intersection. That's just an intersection, not more than that, right? So there is a clear cut departure from the vertical linkage. So you don't remain in the vertical chain and continue in that, right? You will once upon a time you will connect and then you will just separate. So that's how it is. I'm again reading this particular paragraph, which is the third one, and you can see through it at the same time now. Okay, however, concentric diversification differs from vertically integrated diversification in the nature of the linkage the new has the existing ones. So the new product AC will not have a full-fledged linkage with refrigeration system. So while in vertically integrated diversification, the new product falls within the firm's current process product chain. In concentric diversification, there is a departure from this vertical linkage. Okay. The new product is only connected in a loop-like manner at one or more points in the firm's existing process, technology, or product chain. Okay, so just trying to pull things together. Okay, I have given an example as a refrigerator and utensils sold by the same brand. Okay, so utensils could have a little bit of linkage because in refrigerator you keep utensils. Otherwise, there is no major linkage between refrigerator and utensils. You can use it for marketing it together. You can show your own utensils being kept into the refrigerator when you are giving the advertisement, and you can also simultaneously advertise that these refrigeration utensils are safe, right? Stale safe, stale proof, right? It would not smell. Okay. Conglomerate diversification. This is the last of the lot. And once this is done, even expansion through mergers and acquisitions becomes easy. I'll tell you how. Okay, let's discuss conglomerate. Conglomerate is completely unrelated. So the very first thing that you need to have with you is that Conglomerate is completely unrelated. So it's not related at all. Great, sir. Great. It's not related at all. No, it's not related at all. Great. Too good. Happy. Okay. It's not related. So it would be a very different business altogether. Now, a student would ask that, sir, if that's the case, then why aren't we moving towards synergistic gains only? Like, we have the choice to diversify, yes or no? And whether you want to diversify or not is your choice. I said yes. You have the money. Better invest into things which you are already doing or linked with things which you are already doing, and you'll be doing it better ultimately, and you'll get gains out of it. So both businesses would support each other as well. Now, that's what people told me, right? Or students told me. Then why this kind of a conglomerated diversification, or we could say a completely unrelated diversification? Completely unrelated diversification. Okay. So why should we do, or why should we go into an unrelated diversification? For the fact that all the linked businesses, if they rise together, they also fall together. That's pretty simple mathematics, right? That's pretty simple understanding of logic. That say for example, if two businesses are linked, now say for example, I developed a tire company. I had my own tires coming in, and I also had my car company. You can say that there is a vertical integration between the two, because tires is something that would always go into cars and hence required, right? And tires are not something that are not costly. It's a decent amount or a decent value of product, right? So tires are also pretty valuable, and tires need to be changed in future also. So tires is something that's a business that's also dependent upon the business of cars. Okay, now when say for example, if I had both the businesses with me, I also had a tire factory and I also had a car manufacturing plant. With lockdown, and people not buying any cars altogether, right? Won't you think that both the businesses would have hit hard together, right? So that's the beauty of being related. It's a double-edged sword. When it's giving you a benefit, it's definitely very good. When you are hitting with it, it's very good. But when it comes back to you, it will hit you as well, right? So that's something to be understood. That's something to be acknowledged. So people going in for diversification have an understanding that if one business is not performing well enough, the other might do well, because the other one is in a very different industry altogether, right? And when the industries are different, you tend to perform well if the other one is not performing, or if this one is performing and the other one is not performing, okay, that's fine. So diversification allows you to first of all learn a lot of new things. You will take some risks also. It would be an extra risk when you are going for a complete diversification or a completely unrelated product, but that also would allow you to do something that is better for you. Okay. So when an organization enters into a new business which is completely unrelated with existing business, then it is known as a conglomerate diversification. In this diversification, no linkages at all exist. The new businesses or products are disjointed from the existing businesses or products in every way. So the new businesses will be disjointed, the new products would be disjointed from the existing ones in each and every way. This is completely unrelated diversification. So diversification is completely unrelated. You cannot link it anyhow. Okay, conglomerate diversification has no common thread at all with the firm's present position. So you just forget what you were doing. So far, so good. You have a very different thing. Now, Rajat Jain, having an educational institution working from Jaipur, decides to open a cafe. There's no link at all. There's no link at all, right? I just decide to open a cafe. So working of cafe would never be linked with working of the coaching institute or vice versa, right? Both will have to be proven in a very different way, right? So that's just an explanation that I wanted to give first of all, first up, before even initiating anything. So I'm sure that you have this explanation now, and with this explanation, when we are moving ahead, you will be more comfortable with the way things have been going. Okay, so we have already completed. We have already completed like what related and unrelated diversifications, and I'm still wanting to like comprehend what we have already done, or I should say we have already comprehended it. I just want to summarize with it with what we have done. So we have done with expansion of the self. We have done with expanding on the self basis. So when we are expanding on self or on self evaluative basis, what kind of expansion we are into? We are into self expansion, that is through intensification and diversification. Intensification would have three things: market penetration, market development, and product development, as they came from ENSOS product market expansion grid. And diversification had in it related and unrelated diversifications, if you remember, right? If you remember, we had unrelated and related and unrelated diversifications. Now I'm very sure that you are more comfortable with the topic itself, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to write about it as well. So related diversification is into number one, vertically integrated diversification. The first one is vertically integrated diversification. And with vertically integrated diversification, what do we have? We have two types: forward and backward. We have two types: forward and backward. Forward integration, backward integration. The second one was horizontally integrated diversification. The second one was horizontally integrated diversification. Okay, we did not have anything regarding that. The third one was concentric diversification. So concentric diversification will have less synergy. Okay, related diversifications will have synergies. So vertically integrated diversification will have high synergy. Horizontally integrated diversification will have high synergy, but concentric diversification will have a low synergy. Okay, concentric diversification could have some relation with either marketing, with process, or with technology. Unrelated diversification is also named as a conglomerate diversification, and that's the only type that we have, because we don't require any other type to define something that is totally different. It's already given a type, right? So conglomerate diversification is completely unrelated, and conglomerate diversification is something that you will have to take care, right? That there would be no synergistic gains, and since there are no synergistic gains, there are also opportunities in line with it. Don't always feel that since there are no synergistic gains, the diversification is not useful. The diversification is still very useful for the fact that markets are dynamic, and when one thing is not performing, the second thing might perform, and you would be able to like get out of tough situations having conglomerate diversification in hand. If you are just dependent on one stream of income and one set of income or one related income, you generally tend to lose a lot ultimately. So that's something that we need to acknowledge at the very same time. Okay, so we have now this new topic, that is expansion through mergers and acquisitions. So you can understand that what's the difference between mergers and acquisitions as compared to the way we were diversifying or intensifying. So with intensification and diversification, you build everything on your own, right? With intensification and diversification, I would say the word is self expansion, trying to expand on yourself, so trying to bring in resources and trying to improve over them. So that is what it means. But with mergers and acquisitions, merger is something called friendly, wherein you try to combine, and acquisition is something called hostile, wherein you are trying to capture, right? So merger is something like connecting like this, and acquisition is something like this, right? So with mergers and acquisitions, the thing happens in a moment, right? Like you just expand in a moment. With self expansion, everything has to be chalked out, thought of, and then initiated. It will take time, but this is instant means of achieving expansion. So the first thing that comes for mergers and acquisitions is this: that acquisition or merger with an existing concern is an instant means of achieving expansion. So you achieve expansion instantly. It is an attractive and tempting position or proposition. in the sense that it eliminates the time, risk, and skills involved in screening internal growth opportunities and building up the necessary resource base required to materialize growth. So it is an attractive and tempting proposition in the sense that it eliminates time, risks, skills involved in screening internal growth opportunities and building up the necessary resource base required to materialize growth. So earlier, if I had to just self-expand, I would have thought of looking forward to things and how I would be able to turn them up and how I would be able to raise that kind of a bar. Instead, if I have a surplus money coming in, if I am sitting on a good amount of cash, I might just buy another company which is already there in the market, or I might just bring in someone together to link with me, right? So they have also written this particular term. Generally, acquisitions and mergers are resorted to for the purposes of achieving a measure of synergy. Are we so sure about synergy? No, it depends upon the type of business acquired. However, they say that mergers and acquisitions are done for synergy purposes rather than developing and going back into vertical and horizontal integrations. It's better to have acquire a firm so that you can get instant benefits out of them, right? So that would be for generally for a purpose of achieving a measure of synergy. Synergy may result from bases such as physical facilities, technical skills, R&D, and so on. I rather do feel that I don't know whether synergistic gains actually happen or not. But yes, for theoretical purposes, I do feel that with any related businesses, or you should just um, praise the fact that with related businesses, so I'm just trying to convey this. Okay, synergy may result from bases such as physical facilities, technical skills, R&D, and so on. A positive synergistic effect would mean that the positive effects of merged resources are greater than sum of effects of individual resources before merger or acquisition, right? A positive synergistic effect would mean that the positive effects of merged resources are greater than sum of the effects of individual resources before merger or acquisition. If I just have to say, so I would say value of AB combined together would be greater than individual value of A and individual value of B added together. So value of AB combined is individually, like if added individually, is more than, like value of AB is more than individual values of A and B added together. So AB combined is greater than A and B put differently but totaled up. That's a good thing to understand. So that is how positive synergistic effect comes into picture, right? Yeah. So I hope this is also pretty clear. Okay, let's discuss what's about mergers and acquisition. So with our topics, mergers and acquisitions are not really differentiated as such. Whenever we'll be talking about the different strategic expansion routes related to mergers and acquisitions, we'll only be using the word merger. So horizontal merger, vertical merger, co-generic merger, conglomerate merger. So we'll be just using such kind of words. So for the very basic term, they are trying to differentiate between mergers and acquisitions. Then post that, merger means merger and acquisition. So that's how you have to assume things. And thank God that my subject falls in second group, and this is not the first subject that is being taught to anyone in the classes, right? So when if that would have been the case, it would have been very difficult to explain this very small simple point that mergers should mean mergers and acquisitions. In that case, you just have to assume that merger means mergers and acquisitions, so you don't write it again and again. Okay, however, since it has been differentiated as of now, with the initial discussion we will take it up differentiated also. So what is the difference between merger and acquisition? I think it's very clear. Okay, it says merger is considered to be a process when two or more companies come together to expand their business operations. In such a case, the deal gets finalized on friendly terms and both the organizations share profits in the newly created entity. In a merger, two organizations combine to increase their strength and financial gains along with breaking the trade barriers. So that's how these things come. It's very friendly. A latest example is Vodafone Idea coming together and forming VI. I don't know what is it, but it looks cool, right? Just two things. I should have said that just named V only. Vodafone would have insisted, right? That when it's sounding same, why should we have an I extra? But then you know how mergers are, right? You have to be friendly. Okay. So when Vodafone acquired Hutch, it just named it Vodafone only, right? But now since Vodafone is into a merger with Idea, it names it VI. So that shows the friendliness that is coming in, right? You can see that friendliness flavor comes in. Okay, acquisition. When one organization takes over the other organization and controls all its business operations, it is known as acquisition. So that is also known as a takeover, right? In this process of acquisition, one financially strong organization overpowers the weaker one. But they were both weak together with Vodafone and Idea, so they both decided to be friendly to each other. That's a good thing, you know. Okay, acquisitions often happen during recession in economy or during declining profit margins, like what Reliance Geo did, right? Or I should just say what Reliance Industries did, right? He was on a shopping spree. He was on a shopping spree. Mukesh Ambani was on a shopping spree at a point of time where everything was going down. Every business was just pushing down, right? In that moment or two, in that month or two, he just did something amazing. Okay, so I hope I'm always hopeful, right? I'm such a guy. I'm always hopeful. Okay, I hope you have understood the same, right? All right. Then types of mergers: horizontal, vertical, co-generic, and conglomerate. Now, with merger, there would be littlest or slightest of changes in the language of what we have already studied. So, merger, horizontal merger is something acquisition or teaming up with a company, right, into similar products, into similar products. Okay, so sorry. So sorry for that little disturbance. I'm so sorry. I've exhausted two mobile datas for the same class today, and I'm still not on an end, but I'm quite close to it. So I should say that okay, we'll continue with the rest of the things later on. And I've been very happy with the way you have been listening. You have been taking things up, and the kind of reviews that I've been getting about these classes. Thank you so much.